Today, we're looking at a green ink by Pilot in their Iroshizuku line, Shin ryoku, or forest green, because I'm sure I've butchered the Japanese pronunciation. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. And if you like green inks, there's a link in the description to all of the green inks here on the channel. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, some shading because the Iro looks a little bit lighter than the Shiz. Sorry. The extra fine is lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, very nice shading. Look at the brown, starting darker and getting lighter. Look at quick, starting darker, getting lighter, getting darker again, and fox going from light to dark. 4 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine, with no feather spread, halo sheen, decent shading, brown starting dark and getting light, fox starting light and getting dark. 7 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show good color variation because we get it. And the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Diplomat Aero with a broad nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. Now, let's take a look at 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, but there are spots of shading like the Q and the K in quick, the X in fox. 9 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, about the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, spots of shading, like quick looks darker than the word brown. Fox looks very dark, 22 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both do show us some color variation, and we are getting some in the writing. And the smear test, I do not think you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this very turquoisey blue at the bottom, and it's forming a little bit of a line, pushing its way up. We see this very nice darker green, and we see that the turquoise has pushed its way through that green. Now that leads me to a little bit of a theory here. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked into water. We see that that blue is very much forming a line that may be a little bit of a resistant color. It's pushing its way up, and we see that green. Now, in that, we see spots of yellow coming through, which makes me not think that this is so much of a green, but that it is actually yellow. That when we're seeing the green, that what we're seeing is the mixture of the blue and the green, even in the chromatography, because that blue is still poking out at the top, meaning it's moving farther than the yellow did. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does have some shading, like brown goes a little darker to a little lighter. The is very dark compared to the words around it, 5 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, definitely shades. Quick goes much darker to a dark mid-tone to much darker again. Brown starts darker and works its way a little bit lighter, 15 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both do show some good color variation, and we do get it in the writing. And the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it definitely has some blowout occurring in the lowercase h. What I really think we're seeing is some of that turquoise move around and that yellow moving, but we've put yellow back over top of it. I wouldn't use it as a note taker if I had to highlight. Water is lifting the yellow, leaving the turquoise. That's what I'm seeing here. Now, pen flush does everything that water does sloppily, but a little bit better. The 1/3 bleach solution is removing most all of the ink from the paper. Not all of it, but most of it. You're not going to need the 1/3 bleach solution. You're not going to need the pen flush. It only took water to get this out of my pen. The next writing sample is done on Northbook's paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Much more absorbent paper. The scrubby for both does show some color variation, but we're really not getting it. But the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity is 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Iroshizuku Shin ryoku has a viscosity of 2.42, making it normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity is tested or how that bell curve's made, then down in the description there's a link to a video. Now, let's take a look at Mead notebook paper. What can I say? Sure, we get a lot of bleed through at the scrubby. We get spots that are occurring throughout the writing. The thing is, it's not ghosting like crazy, and I'm not sure that those few spots would stop most people from using the backside of the paper. Pretty good. I'm impressed. The medium has minor feathering all over it. No spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the medium with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. Great performance, really. 1 second to dry. The scrubby shows no color variation and we're not getting it. In a smear test, you could definitely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time is 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Iroshizuku Shin ryoku has an average dry time of 10 seconds, making this a fast drying ink. Now let's look at crowd favorite 20-pound copy paper. Once again, we do get a lot of bleed spots. Now, none of these bleed spots touch the next page, which is good. That's what we're really after. It does have tons of show-through as a result of how deep this ink is getting into the paper. I don't think you could use the back of this paper, but it's not ruining the next page. The medium has tiny feathering all over it. It does spread just a little bit, but not all the way up to a broad. It has no halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the medium. It does have tiny feathering all over it, all through the word quick, but nothing that would stop somebody from using this paper. It has spread to about a fine with no halo sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Scrubby shows no color variation because we don't get any. In the smear test, you could definitely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Iroshizuku's forest green, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I didn't want to detract from this very nice tone, so I went with a black ink, Graf von Faber Castell's Carbon Black. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to a bunch of playlists that you might be interested in. So what do I think of Iroshizuku's Forest Green, or Shin ryoku? This shades very well. It is likely one of my favorite forest green inks, even though forest green isn't my top pick for a green usually. Plus, I like saying the name, Shin ryoku. Impress your friends with your nerdiness. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? A medium flow fine or extra fine really put down a very pleasant tone and preserve some of the shading that this ink has. I hope you got something out of this video, and tomorrow we're going to take a look at Lami's Vibrant Pink.